Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys I'm going to be profiling for you my Battlin Boxer deck. I really like Battlin Boxers because in some respects they are a rank 4 toolbox deck and they're really fun to play around with because of that respect. Their main boss monster is Battlin Boxer Lead Yoke, which is really a nice card, but I'm also hoping that in the new Gold Series set that got announced a little bit while back and is coming out in March, I'm hoping that along with other archetypes that they get the rest of their OCG support. So I'm hoping Battlin Boxers, Chronomalies, Heraldic Beast, Gagagas, and Photon Dragons, or Photon Monsters in general, get all their OCG support so they can be a finally completed archetype and make the deck a little bit better. Because it's nice to go into Lead Yoke all the time with Switch Hitter, but I really want to go into their new OCG XYZ Battlin Boxer monster, which is really fun to play around with. But without further ado guys, let us get started on this deck profile. So first off, we run our 3 Battlin Boxer Switch Hitter and your 3 Battlin Boxer Glassjaw. Glassjaw and Switch Hitter are your bread and butter plays of the deck, and they go together like peanut butter and jelly, I guess you could say. So the really nice thing you can do with Glassjaw and Switch Hitter is swarm the field with Battlin Boxer Lead Yoke, which is your main Exceed monster. So the nice thing you can do is if you have a Glassjaw engrave, you can normal summon Switch Hitter, activate his effect, go into Battlin Boxer Lead Yoke. Then when you activate Lead Yoke's effect, when he's trying to be destroyed, you can detach the Switch Hitter first, and then if you activate Lead Yoke's effect again, you detach the Glassjaw, get a Switch Hitter to your hand, and then on your turn, your next turn, you can go normal summon Glassjaw, normal summon Switch Hitter, bring back Glassjaw, and go for another Lead Yoke. Forgive me if that's a little bit complicated, but it's a really nice way of swarming the field. There's another thing I'd like you to keep in mind is Glassjaw's effect, defense is 0 defense, which will come into play in this deck, and we actually utilize that 0 defense by using things like Mass Chameleon in the deck, so you can go for level 8 synchro plays. So Glassjaw and Switch Hitter. But you don't always have to bring back just Glassjaw with Switch Hitter. You can bring back any Battlin Boxer monster that you wish, but mainly you want to bring back a level 4 monster. That way you can go for your Battlin Boxer Lead Yoke. So next up we run Battlin Boxer Headgear. Some people like running just 2 headgear or 1 headgear. I prefer 3 of, mainly for the fact that you can send things like Counterpunch or Glassjaw to the grave, so you can get things, Battlin Boxer monsters, back from the grave to your hand, so you can reuse them. So you can reuse things like Battlin Boxer Spara or Battlin Boxer Switch Hitter you can get back from the grave and reuse them again. But it's really good. Battlin Boxer Headgear is a really good card in combination with Battlin Boxer Spara, which I was just showing you right there, because you can normal summon Battlin Boxer Headgear, activate his effect, send a Glassjaw to the grave to get a Switch Hitter back. Then on main phase 2, you can activate Spara and go into a rank 4 Exceed monster, which is really nice. Nice thing about Headgear is if he's in attack position, he can't be destroyed once per turn, but you do take the battle damage. But he's nice in that respect. So next up we run 3 Battlin Boxer Spara, which I was just talking about. Spara is kind of like a Gear accelerator, I guess I compare it to, but his effect states that if you special summon him from the hand in main phase 1, you can't attack that turn. The way to get around that is special summon him in main phase 2. So you attack first, and then you special summon him. That way you can contact your battle phase, because if you special summon him first and then go into your battle phase, you can't do that because of his effect. So he's like Bahamut Shark in that effect. He has that effect that you can special summon him in main phase 2 and still conduct your battle phase in that regard. Some people, because of his effect, don't only run him as a 2 of or a 1 of. I prefer him as a 3 of because he gives a little bit more of a rank 4 toolbox deck in the element to the deck. So you can go into things along with Headgear or along with Veiler, and go into things like Exciton Knight, Lavava Chain, Castell, Abyss Dweller, you know, whatever you want to. For your other Battlin Boxer monsters, we run 2 Counterpunch and 2 Veiler. Counterpunch, some people don't only like running him as a 1 of, or they don't run him at all. Some people like him as a 2 of. It's just player preference. A lot of the Battlin Boxer monster ratios I found, it differs from player to player on the ratio they run, except for Glassjaw and Switch Hitter, which is a mandatory 3 of, I find. But with Counterpunch, it's really nice because you don't always have to send Glassjaw to the grave. You can also send Counterpunch to the grave along with Headgear. You know, activate Headgear, send Counterpunch, and then you can activate Counterpunch's effect to run over a monster if you wish. So because he would then have 2,000 attack. Counterpunch gives, when he's if he's in your hand or graveyard, you can banish him to make your Battlin Boxer monster gain 1,000 attack for that turn. Veiler is really nice as a defensive card, which is something the deck was kind of lacking in some regards. So if you take damage, you can special summon him from your hand. If you take battle damage, you can special summon him from the hand. You gain back all that monster's life points, I believe it is, that you took during that battle phase, that battle damage from that one monster. And if your opponent's not going to attack you for the rest of the turn and you activate Veiler, it really can set up for good plays on your turn. So you can almost summon a Headgear. It helps you go for rank 4 exceed plays and just good plays in general, and gives you a defensive aspect to the deck, I find. So that's why I like 2 Veiler and 2 Headgear. Next, I run 2 Masked Chameleon, or as I've always called him, Masked Charmeleon for some weird reason. But Masked Chameleon is a really nice card in this deck. He's a level 4 tuner reptile monster. And because he's a reptile monster, you can actually search him out with King of the Feral Imps, because King of the Feral Imps is a searcher for reptile monsters. And because it's a rank 4 toolbox-esque deck in some regards, he's very easy to go to search for and get him out. Plus, he's a good follow-up play. If you already have a lead yoke on the field, or they get around your lead yoke and destroy it, or 101 it, you can just slap down, Masked Chameleon and go for another level 8 synchro play, level 8 synchro monster, and just run over whatever they had on the field. So he's really nice in that regards. He's very useful, very versatile, and you use him always in combination with Glassjaw, because Glassjaw has 0 defense. And most of the time I find that Glassjaw, if he's not in the deck, he's usually in the graveyard, and he's being attached to a lead yoke. He's in one of those 2 places, graveyard or lead yoke attachment. So when he's in the graveyard, he's not really doing much. So you can just Masked Chameleon, bring back the Glassjaw, synchro up. Use dead resources that you have in your graveyard to go for synchro monsters. Pretty nice. Plus it gives another dimension to the deck, I find, which is really nice as well. And the last monster we run is 1 Blaster. Blaster is really nice in the deck. Most of your deck is all fire, except Masked Chameleon. So you can easily banish 2 fire monsters, bring out a 28 beat stick and run over something. It's also nice because you have mostly all fires in the deck, you can pop, discard them to the graveyard and pop something on the field. So he's nice in that regard. For your spell cards, we run 3 Reinforcement of the Army. Thank gosh Rhoda's at 3. I'm so happy because it helps just so many warrior decks out that I love, and it's really nice to play around with. But Rhoda being at 3 really helps this deck out a lot. And it gives you a searcher for the deck. Next, I run 2 Kaiser Coliseum. Some people like Kaiser Coliseum in the deck. Some people say, no, you don't have to run it. It's outdated now. Because people run MST at 3, and there's a whole bunch of ways of popping cards on field. But I still find the card a very decent to good card in the deck, especially Battlin Boxers, because when you have a lead yoke out in the field with attachments and you have a Kaiser Coliseum out, it really can be a pain in the butt to get around it, because your main out to your opponent is going to be Castell or 101. Granted, nowadays we do have Snatch and Steal, but that's only a 1 of. So you will run into Snatch and Steal, but we have other ways of dealing with that as well. But your main way with dealing with the main outs your opponent's going to have to a lead yoke on the field is 101 and Castell. They spin it back to the deck with Castell, or they 101 it and steal it away from you. Or if they have Big Eye, if they can make a Big Eye, if they're rank 7 deck, then they can make Big Eye and steal it away as well. But their main things are going to be 101 and Castell. So to prevent that from happening, you make a lead yoke, then you go Kaiser Coliseum, because you lock your opponent out of having 2 level 4 monsters on the field, and they can't go for that exceed play of a Castell or 101 to get around your lead yoke. So it makes it harder, and they're going to have to waste resources to get around that Kaiser Coliseum. So that's why I like it as a 2 of, because you can use it as a preventative measure to protect your lead yoke. Next, I run 2 Forbidden Lance. Also a way of protecting your lead yoke and any of your monsters from things like, you know, Snatch and Steal or Regeki or whatever's out there nowadays. You can also use it on the offensive and defensive. You can use it to protect your lead yoke as well. So if lead yokes use all his materials, you can use this to protect him from spells and traps. So very versatile card in this deck. Then we run 2 MST to deal with things like Snatch and Steal, Vanity's Emptiness, Skill Drain, whatever's out there in today's game. Then we run, for your one-of spells, we run 1 The Warrior Returning Alive and 1 Battlin Boxer Spirits. Now, some people like running 2 or 3 Spirits, but I have found through playing this deck for a long period of time that I just prefer 1 Spirit. And then I also run 1 Warrior Returning Alive. And I'll state my answer why. Yes, Battlin Boxer Spirits is good to go into rank 4 Exceed monsters, but Warrior Returning Alive is a little bit better. Why? Because of the fact that when you special summon your switch hitter back, you can't special summon another monster with switch hitter because he has to be normal summoned. With Warrior Returning Alive, you can grab back your switch hitter from the graveyard, normal summon your switch hitter, bring back Glassjaw, and go for your lead yoke that way. And then you have, you know, that lead yoke switch hitter loop where you can swarm the field with lead yokes better. So that is the reason why I run Warrior Returning Alive, because yes, this is good for going for rank 4 Exceeds, but this helps you go for your switch hitter, which brings back your Glassjaw or whatever, so you can easily go for a rank 4 that way. Just personal preference there. I mean, if you want to run another Battlin Boxer Spirits and take this out, be my guest, but for me personally, I like it this ratio. Next, I run for your other one-ofs. I run 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Snatch and Steal, 1 Regeki, and 1 Soul Charge. Foolish Burial, you send your Glassjaw or your Counterpunch to the graveyard, so you can get a search off, you know, bring a dead, a Battlin Boxer monster from your graveyard. If you send Glassjaw to the graveyard, you can get that Battlin Boxer monster back to your hand, or send Counterpunch to the graveyard, so it's not a dead card when you draw it, so to speak, and it's in graveyard, and you can use it on either player's turn. Snatch and Steal, steal your opponent's monsters, use it to beat them over with, or steal a level 4 monster and go for an Exceed play. Regeki, just blow up your opponent's field, simple as that. And Soul Charge, just spam the field with a whole bunch of monsters and go for Exceed plays, and, you know, make Abyss Dwellers, Exciton Knights, and, you know, just whatever you want to. Next, we run for your traps, we run Fiendish Chains, 2 Fiendish Chains. If I also haven't mentioned already, this deck is at 40, if I did not mention that already. But 2 Fiendish Chains, I prefer Fiendish Chain to breakthrough skill in this deck, because the fact of the matter, you can, you know, stop that 101 from going off permanently, or you can stop that Castell from going off and then run over it. It just helps out a little bit better, I find, than breakthrough skill. Then I run for your other one-of traps. I run Torrential Tribune, Compulsory Evacuation Device, Bottomless Trap Hole. No Solemn Warning in this deck. If you want to run it, go right ahead and be my guest. There's another card I found that was a little bit more useful in some regards and didn't have so much of a high life point cost. But I'll talk about that in a second. So, Bottomless Trap Hole, Compulsory Evacuation Device, good cards. Generic, you know, very good cards, in my opinion. Torrential Tribune, the reason I run Torrential Tribune is strictly for the fact that you do run Battlin Boxer lead yoke. And if your opponent swarms the field, you can activate Torrential Tribune if you have a lead yoke on the field, and it happens many times. If you have lead yoke in the field, lead yoke can save himself. So it's kind of acts like a Regeki and helps boost up, after you detach one of his attachments, it boosts up his attack. So it's a way of physically taking lead yoke and making his attack go up while clearing your opponent's board, and then you can swing in to your opponent and affect a lot of damage. So I like Torrential Tribune in the deck for that reason. And the last card in the deck I run is 2 XYZ Reflect. Now, I was debating running Solemn Warning, and, you know, you could still run it in the deck, but I decided to run 2 XYZ Reflect instead, because I found it was a lot more versatile. And because this deck is revolving around Exceed monsters, and specifically special summoning a lead yoke, which is your boss monster, and to some extent it can special summon other level 4 Exceed monsters, I found that XYZ Reflect was a very good card, because it states that if your opponent activates its spell card, monster effect, or trap card, you can negate that card, destroy it, and inflict 1,000 life points to your damage. It's a counter trap card for XYZ monsters, and I found it really good in this deck. It protects it from everything, from spells, from traps, from monster effects, and protects your lead yoke, and I really like it as a 2-of in the deck after playing it for a while. So next I run 3 Battlin Boxer lead yoke, which is your main boss monster of the deck and the main card you go into with Switch Hitter. Then we also run King of the Feral Imps and Lavava Chain. Lavava Chain helps you set your graveyard up by setting maybe a Glass Jaw if you have another Battlin Boxer in the graveyard. Helps set up your graveyard whichever way you want to. And King of the Feral Imps helps search out your Masked Chameleon so you can search for it and go into your level 8 Synchro plays. Then we have Castel, 101 Ragnar Zero, 103 Ragnar Zero, excuse me, XYZ Rebellion Dragon, Black Ship of Corn. Just Castel, spin things back to the deck. 101, 103, destroy cards that get attack boost. XYZ Rebellion Dragon, destroy things. Number 50, Black Ship of Corn, send things, destroy things. Next, I run Abyss Dweller, Exciton Knight, Blade Armor Ninja. Abyss Dweller, negate cards that activate in the graveyard. Exciton Knight, nuke the field. Blade Armor Ninja, it's a generic warrior deck, and you can, if you have a clear shot at your opponent, just go for it and just attack them twice. Then lastly, for your rank 8 synchro plays, your level 8 synchro plays, you run Colossal Fighter, Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, and Starter Spark Dragon. Colossal Fighter is really nice in the deck because this is a warrior-esque deck, and you can get really, really big late in the game. Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, good card, and Starter Spark Dragon, just another good card to run. So guys, I hope you all enjoyed this Battlin Boxer deck profile. This deck is really fun to play around with. I'm hoping it does get the rest of its OCG support so it can even become a better deck. But it's a really fun deck to play around with. And until next time guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I'll see you guys next time. Seto Kaiba, I'm out of here guys. Take care everybody.